Hello, found footage fans, and welcome to We Found a Tape. We're a podcast dedicated to all things found footage. Shaky cams, paranormal sightings, and everything with an authentic edge to make it all feel real. My name's John.
And I'm David.
And join us as we hit play and uncover what lies beyond the tape. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of We Found a Tape. Today, I'm very excited, as much as David will be, because this is one of his all-time favourites that we mentioned in a post when we first started this podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about Area 51.
Yeah, Area 51. This was an amazing movie for me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. This was a first-time watch for me. I really hadn't seen this before and didn't know what I was getting in for, but when it came to aliens, I know that you're the master of alien movies, and
Yeah.
your taste is impeccable, so I trusted your judgment wholeheartedly, and you did not disappoint, sir.
Yes. Yeah, this one was definitely a edge of your seat kind of movie because they're always on the go, on the move, and so many things to see. So it was a very, very interesting movie, and it is one of my favorite alien movies in general, and that it's being found footage makes it all that much better. So yeah
I think with alien movies, it lends itself really well to go with found footage. There's always a huge amount of alien movies that come out through this, because it's really something that goes hand in hand with what people are trying to do. They're trying to find the truth about what lies beyond the gates of Area 51, and out in Roswell, and people are trying with their phones, their cameras, to try and capture some form of proof or evidence that extraterrestrial life exists. So
it's that what if, right? Like, what if somebody broke into Area 51? What would they see? What would they find? And this movie definitely answers all of that and more.
So before we start diving into this, let's start with a brief synopsis. Area 51 from 2015 is about three friends who sneak into the secretive Area 51 base, hoping to expose hidden extraterrestrial experiments. As they venture deeper underground, they encounter terrifying forces beyond their control and soon realize they may never escape.
Exactly what happens.
It's exactly what happens.
It's exactly what happens, man. They encounter shit that they can't even comprehend and contend with, because there's the crazy shit they come across. And I was talking to you about this earlier. One of the things that got me in the beginning of this movie, and for the dozens and dozens of times that I've seen this movie, is I wonder what happened to the guy, the one that was into all of this. So he was at the party, the lights went out, and then he was gone. Nobody could find him. He was like mid karaoke with his shitty rap, and he was just gone. And then, the guys leave the party, and they just like almost hit him in the middle of the road. He's just standing there. It's like, well, what happened? And it kind of like leads me to believe that this guy, get abducted or what happened, It's crazy.
Yeah, that was my first thought seeing this as well. It kind of catches you a bit off guard, because at that point there's nothing really pointing to them looking for aliens or anything like that.
Right.
It seems like they're just a couple of guys who are just documenting some stuff. The guy who disappears is Reed. He's normal party, everyone's there having fun. One thing I didn't like, and this is from a friend perspective, is they weren't immediately rushing to try and look for him. They were all drunk at this party, so they jumped in the car and they were kind of like driving lackadaisically up the street, up the road, and then suddenly come across him. It wasn't like they were like scared and running around trying to catch their friend. They're just kind of like, oh, Reed's ran off and doing something weird.
Right.
That would scare the shit out of me. If I was with like a friend or partner or anybody that I'm with as part of a group at a party and they just suddenly disappear and you can't find them, like that anxiety of that happening, especially if you've been drinking or smoking or whatever, like it's just
Yeah.
scary,
That,
man.
yeah. It would kind of freak me out a little bit too. Like, they just didn't, skip off to the bathroom or something like that. Like they're gone.
Yeah, and then he just pops up in the middle of the street, and that was kind of first seeing that. I wasn't quite sure about what had happened. He just kind of shows up there. He's obviously visibly spooked, like something's definitely happened to him, and that builds across the rest of the movie. He almost comes more fanatical, and it then jumps ahead by 3 months, and he's now like really ingrained into the idea of going to Area 51. Something's drawing him to it, and
Right.
by the end of it, you kind of what my take of it was that whatever's there, he's come across during this period of time at the party, and for whatever reason, it's maybe not so much implanted something in him, but something's happened that's drawing him in to bring him to that area. I don't
That's
know why
fair.
it's specifically him. It could be, it's just periodically that's what they do to try and, just bring people in, or maybe it's a counterattack on people who are investigating Area 51, and that's their way to be like, you wanted to see it, okay, well we'll bring you in and you can see it, and obviously not willingly because legally you
Right.
probably can't do that, but maybe that's what's happened.
That could be that. That could very well be. I mean, I didn't think about that. That whatever abducted him is what's luring him back there, or it could be that because aliens are found at Area 51, they're working with the government. Who's trying to, that there's a whole thing there. So these guys, they go on their journey. They're packing stuff up. They got the one idiot friend that plays with the taser and tases himself, and they get in the car, pack up all their shit, and go on the journey. But he's already got some information. Like he's got this girl that he's gonna meet that has some details about Area 51. They've got some stuff that that they're gonna use to try and get past certain things. So yeah, they hit the road. They go through Vegas. They make a night of it. They hit up Hooters, the strip club. Have quite a time at the strip club. My favorite part of the movie, but whatever. They have a whole night of it, and then they wake up the next day and it's time to go. And the other two guys are skeptical about it because this guy Reed is so invested in this and so obsessed with it that that's his only train of thought is I got to get this information as much as I can to try and get into Area 51. And Reed goes into the diner. They're talking. They come out. She starts talking about her dad, that he worked at Area 51, and she's got some information that she's got in the storage room that he told her to get out of the house if anything should happen to him. And as they go to the storage room, he told her to get it out of the house. The day that he died, or that night, she got everything that's in this trunk out of the house. And the very next day, the whole place got raided. So obviously he's got something, right? He's got some information. And they go into the storage room and they start digging through the box. And they find medical records. They find blacked out documents, employee list of them checking in, checking out with signatures. And then they come across the dad's maps. So the dad's made the few maps that he knows the layout of Area 51, the certain levels, things like that. They have this map. So of course, Reed is just licking his chops over there because he's like, now I got a map and I'm in.
Yeah, it was quite elaborate. The technology that they had, the signal jammers, the Freon hazmat suits that they were wearing, which freaked me the fuck out because I can just picture that, like the Freon like hazmat mask being on, trying to cool your body. Like I could just imagine inhaling that and just like being high as shit or something, hallucinating and like getting really sick.
And they trekked a good while in those suits, dude.
They did, yeah. when they get to Vegas, one of the one of the lines that really stood out to me, the friend who's the driver, he's the getaway driver. He said, "This is the least excited I've ever been to go to Vegas." As they're like driving in, and he's like looking at all the stuff. He's like, "This is the least excited I've ever been to go to Las Vegas."
And I felt like, Reed just kind of humored him. He let him go to Hooters and the strip club just to, give him a little taste before they go on the journey. So at least that was cool of him. He was considerate of his friend to an extent.
I do feel like, though, that is a trip to Area 51, especially if you're trying to break in, doesn't feel like a mission that you're going to come back from. It very much feels like a one-way ticket to Alienville. And with that, I feel like going to these sorts of places is almost like your last night of freedom and your last night on Earth, really, is kind of how I took it. They're really like going in on this mission, and there is no guarantee that they're going to come back. Especially the two, Yelena and Reed, like they're the ones that really go into the depths of this place, and it's scary in twofold: the amount of security that's there, but it's also scary as to how easily they were able to sneak around in there without being detected.
See, I thought that too. I thought that as well prepared as they were, as much research that they did, they waited for the guy to get off the plane. They broke into his house. They got the security badge, the suits with the Freon, all that, the fingerprint. He took the guy's, what was it, a cologne bottle that he took from him?
Yeah, cologne bottle. They took the fingerprint from it, and they I can't remember if they made like a mold of it or if they just used it with the tape that they had.
So they used it with the tape, and then when they got up to the sensor, they tried to use just the tape, and it wouldn't take. It needed the body heat behind it, so they put the tape over their finger, pushed it up against it, and it took it. So that's how they got in through the door. But yeah, I thought it was very odd that as hard as it is to get in there, it was so easy for them, because when you get past the heat sensors, the motion sensors, just that in the field, you would think that there's something there that would have detected them, and they're like, Reed's here, let's throw a party for him.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, the deeper they got down, they got to see all of the technology that's there, which kind of feeds into the lore behind Area 51 and how it's a breeding ground for alien technology, that the government is working with aliens or investigating aliens in some degree. So seeing like the spaceship that like they go inside, and then it like you could see outside but they couldn't see inside.
Yeah, that was very cool.
The liquids and the items and artifacts that were in the lab area that were like flying around and stuff, and the anti-gravity stuff, like that was,
yeah, I mean, it looked good enough to convince you that there was some technology that was definitely beyond us with the anti-gravity. I'm not sure if I'm sure it was a metal of some kind, but when it reacted to it seemed like it felt their presence, so it started reacting and moving, and then it shot out of the plexiglass. And then that other liquid, you would go next to it, and it would react to motion close to it. And that fucking idiot took 2 vials of it and stuck it in his pocket. That wasn't that wasn't too bright, but yeah, they broke in, man. They got in, they got past all that, they got in through the door with the thumbprint, and they start making their way through. They, that's the first thing they encounter is that stuff, and then also that weird part where they go into, it's like a restroom, like shower room, and it's with all the lockers. Yeah. And then they hear that radio, so they go looking through the locker that has the radio, and there's like a bulletproof vest kind of, and it's got like a melted piece to it, like they got hit with something that melted part of it. And then the screech that comes out of the walkie-talkie, it's like otherworldly screech. There's no animal that would make that kind of sound. So that was like, oh, holy shit, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, I made a note of that as well. That it was a really strange sort of liminal locker room that they go into. It was very dimly lit, and
but it seemed like the bathroom like very 50s to 70s, because you would not see that ring with the water when you step on it and it pushes out the water.
Yeah,
that seems like something that you would see back in like the 50s to the 70s for like a school or something like that. You would see that like in a high school or a gym.
totally. Yeah, for sure. It's probably because there's a lot of technology and things like that there that now people are more prone to looking into this stuff that they maybe don't upgrade those types of areas. They kind of purposely keep it on those sort of upper levels to be like a
Right.
sort of almost boring type like 70s style decor so that people kind of, oh, maybe it is just like a locker room, or maybe it is
Right.
just, like this old office that's just abandoned that hasn't really been used since the 70s, but really it's a front for lower
What's
down, which
right.
S2 is the level that they're trying to get down to based on the maps from the dad. They're trying to get down through that level, so that's where the real threat and the real scientific aspect really is. So this is
Right.
almost like, again, smoke and mirrors with sleight of hand. Oh, look at all this stuff, when really it's under here is where all the magic's happening, kind of thing.
Right. Right. Yeah, man, that as they started going down, man, everything started going, sideways. There was even a point where they got to this gate to where you had to push it from that side. It was kind of like a two-man thing,
Right.
and they weren't successful, and it set off the alarms, and that's when they scatter and separate. So Yelena and Reed are together, and the other guy, ventures off by himself because he got stuck behind the gate. This movie is just crazy, man. Like it has my heart pumping right now talking about it because it's just, it's an adrenaline rush through the whole thing. Because what if you got in there and you're seeing all this shit and it's like, wow, what the hell? um, they start making their way down to the lower levels. There is even that part where they got in there, they saw the pods. They even got into that little cave area, and they started seeing like the piles of toys and children's clothes and things like it was just really weird shit. Like if it was left over from abductions.
Right. Yeah, that's where it kind of gave me the feeling of like there's a lot of this weird stuff that's there that really shouldn't be there. When I saw it, the first thing I thought is it must fucking reek of shit down there. It must be
Oh, yeah.
so disgusting. Like alien shit, like otherworldly fucking shit.
And anytime you've ever seen like a UFO abduction encounter, things like that, or military that's talked about having encounters with aliens, they've always talked about horrific smells.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I can believe that. I can definitely believe the smell down there was not that great at all.
A lot of this I really loved. I really loved the tension building throughout the whole thing, where they're in the house of the secret agent or the agent from the FBI that they're trying
Right.
to get the passcode and the fingerprint from, like when his family comes home. Like the tense reality of that situation really had my heart pumping, and that was scary as shit. Like that, the thought of that, the anxiety around that would be intense, man.
I definitely had an adrenaline rush to that because if you ever, and it can be even from childhood, if you've ever stolen anything in your life and tried to sneak around, let's use an example. Let's say you were a teenager and you're stealing the keys from your parents. You're tiptoeing through the house, not trying to make any noise, and the intensity in your chest because you're not trying to get caught. And you grab those keys and you make your way outside. You grab the car and split. That's a whole. It's kind of like that. If you've ever stolen anything in your life, that rush.
Yeah, it's scary, man. But yeah, that was a particularly favorite part of mine. That was really good. The parts for me that I wasn't a huge fan of was after they got through that two-man gate, the friend who's running away randomly starts to get attacked by an alien.
Oh, you're
And
talking about the part where the alien came out into the mess hall.
yeah, that I wasn't a huge fan of. Honestly, like the friend could have just been like, escaping guards and trying to run away, and I think that would have been more impactful for those aliens to be elsewhere, like in that secret lair where Reed and Yelena were, like chasing them around that. I think that would have been really intense. Yeah,
I
that just
can
kind of felt a little out of place. Like that one just got out and is chasing this one person, and then he gets out, and then suddenly, like, he gets away scot-free, I guess, because he has more access to exits and out to the main area where things are a little more, contained for the outside world. But that I wasn't a huge fan of.
And I can agree to that to an extent, because you really don't know where the alien came from. You don't know if this alien was a worker on the base and just is after him because he knows that he broke in. You don't know if the alien was contained somewhere and they hit a wrong button and released the alien. Like there's just no context to that. So yeah, I can agree to an extent. Like I enjoyed the chase and everything, the alien chasing him, but I can see that there was no real dialogue to why the alien was chasing specifically him.
Yeah, and that was really one of the main gripes I had with it. Was mainly that it just didn't really make much sense. It just kind of came out of nowhere, especially when they're down in that area, and it's so claustrophobic, and they're part of that. They're going through all the stuff, and they end up somehow on the ship. The ship then takes off and is going through the air like in the middle of the day, or like really really early in the morning.
Yeah.
So it just kind of takes off. Like that was also when I was like, what?
What threw me off about that one is the first time that I ever saw this movie, I thought they were thrown out of the UFO, and it was just the actual camera.
Ah, right, okay.
So like I thought I was expecting a body to hit right next to where the camera fell, and there was no body. So I was like, well, where's the body at?
Yeah, the camera seems to like almost get thrown out of a hole in the ship, and it lands on the ground. I think that would have been insane if they dropped a body, like one of them at least. Like if they dropped him, if they dropped Reed or Yelena, like if they dropped one of them, that would have been next level.
Yeah.
Especially like slightly delayed. Like you see the camera hits the ground, and then like like a minute or two later, like just this body comes flat.
Right.
That would be mad. That would be like, that would probably put it up there further for me. That would have been wild.
Because usually they return them, but not unharmed, but the actual body just fell to their death. So it's just kind of like, okay, let's cover it up. Let's just
right.
What tripped me out about that is the UFO, when they get inside of it, everything is just completely white minus the symbols.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of makes you wonder, if they're using like light-based technology to where it affects your brain, some kind of mind control, because Yelena disappears and then he's looking for her and finds her. She's just kind of in a trance, just standing there, and she's just staring off into nothing. But you see all these symbols blinking. You got to wonder, if there's some kind of like to where you can be controlled or put into like some kind of like a sedative in a way. It kind of sedates you to be unresponsive.
Right, which is pretty on point for alien technology that I would think of. That would be something that I would probably assume would be the case. There's going to be something that's going to control them, whether that's some sort of liquid. I know in other movies that people have been pumped full of this alien liquid, and or kept in a pod or something like that that's like sort of sedated them so that they can then be taken for experiments or whatnot. I'm with you on that. I think it was probably some sort of light technology. Reed didn't quite get affected by it, maybe because he's looking through the camera. That could be a thing.
And the other thing too, if he really was abducted, he's already, maybe he was altered in some kind of way or something. It's really hard to say, but I mean that's a valid point too. If he's looking through the camera, it's not going to affect him as much because there's kind of like a filter.
Right. With that, I do have some facts that I think are really quite interesting to know about this movie.
Alien facts. Let's hear it.
Well, specifically, Area 51 was mostly filmed in 2009, which is 2 years after Paranormal Activity, but it was released in 2015. And the reason for that is because due to post-production issues, a number of reshoots, and Oren Peli's dissatisfaction with the film, it delayed it for 6 years. So originally it was supposed to be 2010, 2009, 2010. It was going to come out after Paranormal Activity. It was in development hell.
Makes you wonder if it would have gotten more traction or popularity if it did come out, 2 years after Paranormal Activity versus several, to where, the popularity has settled a bit more. I think popular if it would have been, from the creator or producer of Paranormal Activity 2 years later, it's still fresh in people's minds.
And with that, another couple of things about it in relation to that is that apparently Oren Paley had originally brought in Blumhouse to help rework and reshoot parts of the movie, which also delayed it. So it was really just his. I don't know if it's attention to detail or if it's just, I don't like where this is going, and kind of a case of too many cooks in the kitchen coming in to try and, make this thing as best as possible, and it just went into development hell. Critics and fans felt that Area 51 lacked the same sort of polished tension that Paranormal Activity had, which again is related to a number of years of re-edits, reshoots, creative disagreements. Like there was clearly something going on in the background. But that was his last film. He never made a film after that. He produced other films like The Bay and, Chernobyl Diaries and Insidious, but he never made another film after this. This was his second and last film that he ever made.
I'd be interested in seeing him do another movie. I mean, regardless of what the theme is or whatever, to see what he comes up with. Because, I mean, two of my favorite movies, Paranormal Activity and Area 51, and made by the same guy.
Yeah. Another pretty cool thing that I found when I was looking into this was the guerrilla filmmaking style that they employed with this was really prominent. Like, they apparently filmed places illegally and without permission.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Particularly around the perimeter of Area 51. It's legit.
So the signs outside where they were taking pictures with the signs and stuff like that. Wow.
Yeah. Most of the film was on a soundstage or an area where they could control it, but the production team visited locations that were near the base to add authenticity to it, to make it.
That's very cool.
Closer to the subject matter, which is really cool, man. I love that.
It's always nice to if you're making a movie about something like aliens, Bigfoot, monumental places that, sightings and activity have occurred, to actually bring in real scenes to the movie.
Absolutely. And another thing that really went against this film was the fact that there was really no promotional campaign for it. It just was quietly released in 2015. No real promotion to push that this was produced by the company behind Paranormal Activity, created by the guy who made Paranormal Activity. It just was released, and apparently fans didn't even know about it. Didn't know it was getting worked on, didn't know it was coming out, didn't know much about it. They just released it, and it just didn't really do as well. So again, going back to our point where we were saying about those certain areas where there wasn't much context, those could have been ones that in an earlier cut of the movie may have been explained. So yeah, I think it's just a symptom of too many cooks, try to do too much maybe, which is unfortunate, but still solid film, considering this guy had little to no experience with making films.
Yeah, he did a really good job with this one, minus the, a couple of hiccups here and there. But I mean, it is what it is. They did phenomenal with what they worked with, and it was a roller coaster ride the whole way through of adrenaline and just craziness. Like, you were just wondering what's going to be around the next corner. And I can't say this enough. If you're a fan of alien movies and you've never seen this before, I highly recommend it, because this will end up in your library for years to come as one of your favorite alien movies, not only as found footage, but just in general about aliens. I could name a couple of alien movies that are, out there that are iconic. Up there in my top 3 alien movies, hands down, is Fire in the Sky. That one is one of the best, if not the best, alien movie that was ever made. Next to movies like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And then, of course, you've got like famous aliens that are in like motion pictures like E.T. and stuff like that, but true like actual abduction movies would be like Fire in the Sky, things like that. Communion, a very young Christopher Walken comes out in that movie Communion. That was a crazy movie.
Yeah, Fire in the Sky, man, that was intense.
When I first saw that, it came out on HBO, and I was watching that at home. It was like one of those. It was the Sunday night movie that was coming out for HBO, and what a fucking ride, man! The whole scene with the alien autopsy, where they were, showing how they were going to dissect him and open him up, the sheet over him. Dude, that whole fucking movie just blew my mind in a lot of scary ways.
Yeah, it's nightmare fuel, man. Big
Yeah,
time.
yeah, for sure.
One of my favorites is Phoenix Forgotten. Most definitely.
Yeah,
That's
Phoenix
a
Forgotten.
great found footage alien movie. Oh, it's done so well. Justin Barber did a fantastic job. So, yeah, and I think there's probably going to be a number of alien ones that we're going to run into that are going to be up there for us.
Aliens, like you said in the beginning, go hand in hand with found footage in a way, because a lot of these alien sightings that you see nowadays, they're all through a camera, whether it's your phone camera, somebody holding an actual camera. It just kind of goes hand in hand with alien sightings and things like that. So, yeah.
For sure. And for anyone that has watched Area 51, another point to mention is that there is a post-credit scene. So stick around till the end of the credits, and you'll see I called him the binocular guy. You don't really know who he is. He's just this guy who's like, looking through binoculars. You don't know if he's involved. You don't know what his deal is, but he comes across the camera and picks it up and, switches it off. So, yeah, it was really fun. It was a fantastic ride. Great alien movie. Really well done in terms of the majority of the story, like 99% of the story, like, and the way that it's filmed, like, it's good. It is a good amount of tension and character development, which I appreciated. So for me, if we're going to rate this thing, I think I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 tapes.
It would definitely get a five across the board if it filled in those tiny little gaps here and there. It would have been perfect alien movie, but and I think it's the imperfections that in a way make a movie what it is and what it is now, but yeah, 4 tapes. I'm with you on this one.
Yeah, no, this was a great one. I can definitely see why it's one of your favorites for sure, man.
Yeah,
it was so well done. The fact that it's made by Oren Peli, and the fact really that it's his second and last film, like, kudos to him, man. Seriously, even if there are people that didn't like it first time seeing it around, genuine kudos to that man for making this type of movie, because to make Paranormal Activity and to make Area 51 pretty much back to back is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, he's done very solid for himself in 2 movies. So, I mean, he came in with a bang and left with a bang. So,
absolutely. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in on this episode of We Found a Tape. Be sure to follow us on our Instagram at We Found a Tape, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, and we're also on YouTube, all at We Found a Tape.
And don't forget, everybody, be kind and rewind.